Welcome back to another podcast for Uncommon. I am TJ.
I am Joshua.
I almost said I am Joshua to throw you off.
I'm Joshua. That's Joshua. We're all Joshua.
Wait a second, what? This week we are talking about dads because it's Father's Day coming up soon.
Yep.
And so we're going to try to give a little encouragement to dads.
Mm-hmm.
June is, every month or every whatever. Oh, it's so and so's month. It's this month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? June's Dad's month. I don't care what anybody else says. It's Dad's month, and so we did a thing years ago called June Dad, and we'll probably do it again. We'll resurrect that this month or in June for that reason, so that we can focus on dads. Moms, I'm sure, are going to share something, but moms, boy, they get their month. This is our month. Come on, dads, get in there. And also, dads, you need rest too. Okay, so look, we challenge guys quite often to okay, get out of that recliner, get off the sofa, let's go do stuff. All right, guys, put on your fat pants, hit that lever, get those legs up. It's time to relax and maybe even take a nap. Okay.
Somebody's got to hold on the couch.
Hey, look, Jesus napped.
Yep.
And I'm going to prove it to you in a little bit. So, fathers carry a lot.
Yes.
Right? Providing, protecting, showing up day after day. Yes, there are dads out there that do that. But there's a problem. Too many dads run on empty most of the time. Mm-hmm. They're just they're exhausted when they get off of work. They get home and they're like, what's for dinner? I got to do what? Barbecues. Oh, my goodness. Can we just call something,
Can we call Mr. Papa John's?
Yeah, Mr. Barbecue guy, whatever. Delivery barbecue. Hey, look, that's all I'm saying. Delivery barbecue. Sometimes resting feels like weakness. Well, I just want to go sit down for a while and not have someone ask something of me. I've been there. I'm usually there by Friday afternoons there. And sometimes we feel well, I could be doing something. Right now, my grass is as tall as almost my grandson. It's up there. It rained quite a bit this past week, and I'm oh. And if I have to call someone to do it, I feel like I'm kind of being a little lazy. And there's times when, hey, God designed us in the Sabbath was designed for rest, right? And he didn't call us to be 24/7 until you die kind of thing. And so, us to be rested, renewed, and leading from a place of strength, not exhaustion, is a big thing.
Yeah.
And so today we're talking about stepping into resting, not just for the body, but for the soul. It's a fine line of never being active and being always active, right? And so finding that happy medium, I think a business calls it the work-life balance kind of thing. But we're talking about resting our body and our soul. It's great that you might sit on that sofa or recliner and take a nap. Do you spend some time in the Word as well?
Right. It reminds me a lot of when pastors take a sabbatical,
Sure.
We know a pastor friend of ours that he had been the lead pastor of that church and not taken a sabbatical in over a decade.
Oh, most pastors that I know, when they talk about sabbaticals, it's definitely in the 20s.
Yeah.
That they start taking sabbaticals, and usually their health dictates it.
Yeah, but I always think about that when we talk about resting, because when I think about dads and fathers and husbands and looking at the responsibility placed on us as spiritual leaders in the household, we can't afford to make slip-ups.
Right.
When it comes to this kind of stuff. And slip-ups happen when you're exhausted, when you're running on empty,
Right.
when you're I'm too tired to take the family to church today and do that rigmarole, that kind of thing. And that's not what you want your legacy to be when it comes to being a father figure in your household. And I think it's that fine line of being strategically rested, of not resting too much that you sit on your laurels and just kind of like, well, we've been watching church from home for the last month because everyone's been sick. We'll just stay in pajamas this week, kind of thing.
Sure.
Or the opposite, where it's like, no, we need to be 24/7 all the time, 1,000%.
Right.
And we're gonna burn this place into the ground, kind of thing. And again, happy mediums all around when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I do know as men, and me and some guys were telling us recently about the idea of burden sharing, and how a lot of men tend to not try to burden those around them, including their wives and other guys and mentors in their lives, because they think, oh, well, I don't want to burden you with it because you've got your own stuff going on. And sometimes it takes having someone else take that burden for a little bit for you to rest.
Right.
And you do yourself no services if you try to bottle all that up and not take care of yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Yeah, I mean, busyness is the badge, right? Like, oh, what's going on? Oh, man, I'm so busy. Yes, I mean, I got so much going on. Busy, busy, busy. Got the house, got the business, got the car, and this and that kind of thing. And sometimes we do that to hide. When things get uncomfortable in the house, guys usually go outside and do yard work. So didn't you just cut the grass yesterday? Well, I got to get those leaves up. Those leaves. They got to prune the shrubs. They got to paint the trees. I got all kind of stuff. Got to do stuff outside. And in today's culture, being busy is kind of a worn like a badge of honor. And you never hear somebody like, "Hey, how's things going?" "Oh, just staying busy," kind of thing. You don't say, "I'm a lazy lump."
Yeah.
You don't hear that as an answer. So for dads, the pressure to provide and never pause feels a little bit holy, but it's often harmful.
Yeah, I refer to like the silent sufferer. This the idea of like, you see a lot in like literature of like this like lone kind of like, I'm gonna take this on my lonesome, this lone warrior, like I want to shoulder this burden to the end kind of thing. I mean, it's a reason that's really popular as a literary device, because a lot of men like associate with that.
Sure.
And that is not a healthy mode in any capacity to handle life.
No.
But we're called to rest, and we should take that commandment very seriously.
So Jesus, Son of God, with 3 years to change the world, took time to stop and rest. There were times when he would go out into a boat just to kind of get away from the crowds. Would go into a garden just to get a little peace and quiet kind of thing. And there are times when he would go take a nap.
Yep.
Jesus was in the stern of the boat on the cushion taking a nap. It says it in Scripture. Obviously, the disciples are all freaking out because of the storms.
Because it's white noise.
Right, exactly. Right now. Hurricanes. That's Mark 4:38, by the way, if you want to check that out. But you could just see that if the Son of God, when he was fully man and fully God, took time to rest, it was probably for our benefit to see that the human body needs that rest.
Yeah.
And to the fact that when he would go in Gethsemane, pray, and come back, check on the disciples, these lazy bones were all sleeping. So you get to see that the human body, if it was a car, you wouldn't buy it.
No, I would not. I would return it.
You buy this car, it's brand new, it rides beautifully. Unfortunately, you can only drive it about 16 hours a day. You can't use it for 8 hours a day.
Terrible gas mileage. Runs off Big Macs and pancakes.
Exactly.
Terrible.
Exactly. So we spend a lot of time sleeping,
Yeah.
obviously, to rest up. And rest is a command, not a suggestion. God didn't recommend the Sabbath. He commanded it. Now, he commanded it because to keep it holy.
Yeah.
Focus on him. 6 days you shall labor, but on the seventh is a Sabbath to the Lord your God.
Yeah.
Exodus 28-10. And so if we know there's time to work and it's time for rest. And if you don't take and do both of those, I think equally destructive. But if you're like, you know what, I'm going to do all the rest of the chores, and I'm going to take and probably cut grass on Sunday. Kind of thing. Wash the cars, do whatever, run errands kind of thing. Monday, you're going to feel like, did I even have a weekend? There was no downtime to recoup from that.
Yeah.
So it is challenging to burn the candle at both ends because eventually those two ends meet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think when God created the world, right? On that seventh day, he rested. You are kidding yourself if you think God got tired after 6 days of creating the universe.
Right,
you
right.
know, God was like, "No, I'm going to take time
Right.
and see the glory that I've created," kind of thing. And if that shouldn't give you some kind of semblance of comfort when it comes to it's time to rest.
Yeah.
I don't know what will.
Yeah, and rest well. Like Psalm 127:2 says, "It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep." Now, I have friends that they love getting up early. When I say early, I don't mean like 7. I mean like I have a friend who gets up at 4
a.m.
There's a 4 a.m.
There's a 4 a.m. I don't
Yes,
acknowledge that.
right.
There's only a 4 p.m.
He goes to Starbucks and gets a coffee.
Sure, they love
Sometimes he's there before they've opened the door. So he was excited recently because they moved the opening time up like a half hour so he could get there. He gets up there so early that he's there for a while. He comes home. He goes and runs, I don't know, for like a 45 minutes kind of thing. It's still dark outside. Goes home, showers, has breakfast. So early that when he goes to work, he takes his lunch at 10 o'clock. I'm like, you what?
He's the guy on TikTok you see. I've taken my day, created 6 days, and I've compounded.
I've stacked him.
I've broken
You're
time.
toast, man. You're toast because I'm at Starbucks harassing people for coffee at 4 a.m. while you're sleeping. Yes, you are.
When I meet with the guys on Wednesday, I have to get up around like 5:30 because we meet there for 6, and so
Okay.
that's like the earliest I really ever get up.
Yeah.
And I always think it's so funny because I don't get up that early, so when I get there for 6, I'm usually there for an hour and a half with these guys, and I have a cup of coffee, and then I come here and then I work my day. By like 10 o'clock, my brain's like, "Is it time to go home yet? We've been awake for way too long."
Isn't it nighttime yet?
I'm like, there's a lot of day has passed. I don't know what's going on. What did you do to us?
Yeah, I mean, we can fill up our days, be too busy. And so let's take a moment to give ourselves a little bit of downtime, but also use that downtime for the body as well as the soul. And so this week, what is one way your constant busyness might be costing your family more than it's helping? So we're talking about this from your perspective, but when you're busy man, where is your family at that, right? You might be busy doing something like yard work or harassing coffee employees about opening the door early. Whatever it is, think about how that's impacting you, but also those around you.
Sure. I mean, because those things, and this goes for anything to an extreme, but like, I mean, there's the idea of the man who works so much. His family's like, he's never home. I don't even have a dad, honestly. He's working overtime.
Right.
And while he's providing, which is a biblical thing and we should provide for our families, he's doing it to such an extreme for busyness to not, whether he feels the desire to provide or he's trying to avoid home life, that it's impacting his family.
Sure. And traveling is always an issue. I know when we were in Arizona after Katrina hit, I had a guy who was, he wanted to have coffee. He was thinking about taking a job with Apple. And the ad said, must be able to multitask while multitasking.
Ooh.
I think I pulled a muscle just reading that ad. I'm like, ooh, that hurts. He said, so I have a question for you. He said, if I take this job, I'm going to be making a lot of money. more money than I ever made in my life. He said, but I won't see my kids. He said, I won't be working like 70, 80 hours a week for probably the next couple of years. And his kids were like, I don't know, 3 and 5. And I told him, I said, I don't know whatever happened, if you took it or not. I said, no, you will never get this time back with your kids. I don't care what age they are.
Yeah.
If you're going to sacrifice that time, it better be for something more than money.
Yeah.
Right? And so I don't know what he did with that, but the fact that he asked that question told me something, that he was willing for the right amount of money,
right,
not see his children for X number of time.
Yeah.
Because we know if you're that kind of ad, if they say 18 months, they actually mean about 4 years. So something to think about as we get ready to end up with this first segment. Be sure to check out uncommon.org. If you have not signed up for our newsletter, we send out an email blast once a week with a focus on one of our content pieces, whether it be the podcast or a devotion or any of the other materials that come with our membership program. So be sure to check it out at uncommon.org and sign up today. And in the meantime, stay tuned for an Uncommon sponsor. Uncommon would like to thank today's sponsor, Studio 490 Digital Marketing. Elevate your business with Studio 490. Our expert team offers tailored web design, SEO, Google Ads, and social media management. Visit studio490.com because your success story starts today.
Welcome back, guys. We are on the other side of our sponsors for this week's podcast, talking about fathers resting. We talked a little bit about this in the first part. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into the impact of not resting can have on your family.
Sure.
And so the first part we kind of focus on is the fact that when you don't rest, that impacts your kids especially.
Yeah.
Because your kids are watching.
Yeah.
When they see you breaking yourself down at the expense of a job for multitasking upon multitasking, or XYZ, taxes, money.
Right. Dad's so stressed out from work, he drinks a lot.
Right.
Kind of
you pick the poison. When you build that environment, kids see that and either replicate it, which, if you're honest with yourself, you don't want your kids replicating any of that.
Sure.
Or they go, well, I can't rest because Dad's not taking a break. Why should I take a break, kind of thing? And it sets up these kind of
behavior.
Yeah, it sets up these kind of really lofty goals that can never be reached. That a kid shouldn't be worrying about. Oh, well, Dad's still working. Maybe I should also be working. I mean, the kid, right? And so when you aren't teaching your kids that peace is found in God, but performance, that's when you've made a mistake. Because we live in such a society of, well, you just gotta, go get that bag, right? That's the running comment of go get the money, go get the thing, and we have our priorities set on that and performance of social status, finances, educational, whatever the case may be, and we're not putting the idea that peace is only found in God, and showing kids that we can rest in His peace, then they're going to grow up with the wrong kind of priority list.
Yeah, the rich fool in the scripture. We don't know how rich he was. It was enough to be called rich.
Yeah.
Right? What if that was told to you, hey, TJ, there's a great story written about you. It's 2 words that describe you. When you hear the first word, it's like, yeah, rich. I'm like, all right, man,
Nice.
I'll rate it. I made it. Awesome. What's the second word? Fool. Oh, man. What did I do?
You hit me in the first half, not going to lie.
So close. So that person, that guy had enough where he's like, I'm going to tear these barns down. Let's build bigger ones.
Yeah.
Right? And focus on the wrong thing. Tonight, your soul is required of you. How many times do you see that? Like, you know what? I can retire right now. But if I just had a little bit more. If I get that little bit of icing on the cake, I get this little perk, that little thing, work a couple of more years kind of thing, boy, I'd really be set.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you develop some kind of health issue, or events turn, right? As we get older, man, things don't go. The rich fool was not expecting that.
Yeah.
And so, keeping it in perspective, if you're never going to have enough money, then keep that perspective of, well, I don't need to have all the money. I need to be good stewards with the money that I do have.
Yeah.
And be content with that. And that's another whole podcast, right?
Right.
But yeah, your kids are watching that. And so you would never hear about like that, right? The rich fool story. If his kids are like, man, Dad's got it going on. He's building those big old barn. Oh, he died? He died last night? I'm sure they have a perspective of their dad that he just worked so hard, worked himself to death.
Right.
And, rest isn't just for you, it's for them as well. It's teaching them priorities.
Right.
Because when we take and do all that, we convey those things are more important than these things. And sometimes these things are them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's I remember plenty of Disney Channel movies growing up. The dad was not in the picture because he was working late at night.
Sure.
And, the kid was the main character. And I always thought it interesting that it always skewed the kid's view of like, oh, well, if dad wants to, if I want to get acknowledged by dad, I need to do X, Y, Z. I need to get a good report card, or I need to get that job at the company. And I always thought it was interesting that they viewed that through the lens of, oh, it's because dad does this. Dad works really hard. He doesn't take breaks. So if dad can't take breaks, then I need to be seen by him and I strive for his approval. I need to also follow in his footsteps. And if we're honest with ourselves, if you are a person who works an 80-hour week multitasking upon multitasking, you wouldn't wish that on your kid.
No, now, I will admit that I do believe that Mom and I have built into you and Noah a great work ethic. If there's work to be done and it's time to work, then work. If it's time to rest, then rest. That sounds really simple, but people get that messed up all the time.
Yeah.
It says, your children, your family won't learn boundaries if they never see it modeled by you. This is that do as I say, not as I do thing. Oh, you should go to school and get your college degree. So did you go to college? No. Now, if you couldn't go to college, it's different. You didn't want to go to college. Well, why?
Yeah.
Go get a job and work, and work well. I noticed you've been unemployed for a while. Why is that? Kind of thing. So, your kids are watching.
Yeah.
Your family is watching. Here's one for you. Holy Spirit is watching.
Yeah.
And if you don't have kids, you're like, I can see that someone, said that, like, oh, I don't have kids, so I don't worry about, the Holy Spirit is watching.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. So the Sabbath,
Yep.
it's not just on a Sunday, right? Rest isn't just a day, it's a rhythm. It's stepping back and striving and choosing to, worship God, to keep a focus on God. While there's a day for the Sabbath, for worship, we should have that approach daily, right?
Yeah.
Spending time, because if you only make time for God on Sunday, boy, you're going to struggle in your walk.
Yeah.
And if busyness is keeping you from that, then you need to get less busy.
Yeah. Priorities, right? I mean, this is like if you went to the gym for 30 minutes one time a week and you were in a strongman competition at the end of the year, you'd be sorely outpaced, right? So when you only show up to church for that hour-long service and you book it out of there as soon as it's done, and never look at your Bible again, never participate in any kind of study, meet with other believers and fellowship with them, when it comes time to rest or get distracted, you're not going to be able to pick the right thing that's going to rejuvenate you, mind, heart, and soul.
You mean going to church once a week and then sitting there working on your fantasy startup line it's not good enough?
No,
Okay.
probably not.
Just checking. So whether it's a walk, prayer, reading scripture, playing catch, rest means being fully present in that, right? Not just a physical perspective. I love Psalm 46:10. It says, "Be still and know that I am God." Think of today's culture. How many people do you know who are still?
Only a handful of guys I know.
So let's try this experiment, okay? Okay. I'm going to give us 10 seconds of quiet time. And just so you can kind of get a feel of, it's probably going to make you feel a little awkward. Okay, so a second here. I'm going to start this in about 6 seconds. So hang on a second. I'm going to go right now. And that's 10 seconds. I don't know if you veered off the interstate into like a ditch, or if you're like, holy cow, 10 seconds. I mean, we don't spend a lot of time in quietness with ourselves.
I mean, the fact that one of the prevailing marketing techniques on TikTok is to have something going on in the background while another video plays on top of that.
What is up with that?
I mean, we live in a culture that is so, everything has something to grab our attention. I mean, there are moments where it could be overwhelming, and it's almost like I don't know how to be quiet. I've been so inundated with work and life and social media and my family. I don't know how to take a moment to rest and be quiet in the presence of the Lord.
How in the world are we supposed to hear God when there's a hurricane going around us? When he says, let God fill what you keep trying to fix, right? And you're like, maybe if I just spend a little more time exercising and put my earphones on and jam out for a while, exercise. Well, you know what? I need to catch up. I need to binge watch that XYZ show kind of thing. If I'm falling behind because everybody's talking about that thing. I mean, how in the world are we supposed to hear God if we don't take some time for quietness?
Yeah.
And our focus verse is Matthew 11:28 through 30.
Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
And that verse sounds like it could be like, oh, I could use some of that. So last 3 years, I was listening to a lot of books. And I had a pattern going. I was just like, I'd rotate through classics and like ministry and like business, and I forget, like just a personal one, like sci-fi or whatever it was. I did it for like 3 years, and I was averaging 40 to 50 books a year. And they're listening, so I'm like doing it while I'm cutting grass, or maybe working a little bit. So probably not catching everything, but catching a lot of it. A lot of great books. And then this year, I have not read a single book. Still doing my daily devotion kind of thing. I'm in a 180 days, the New Testament kind of thing. And while I was doing those other books, I was doing a 3-year plan. But this year I said, you know what, I'm just going to turn off all that and just stick with my devotion. That's what I'm reading this year, is the Bible. And I could tell a difference.
Yeah.
My mind is not as jumbled, maybe, with this thought, that idea, whatever kind of thing. And that could be me just reading into it, but it just feels different.
Yeah, I mean, I think that whether it's reading or TV shows or whatever, I think it's interesting to note that we live in an era of like the most entertainment possible is at our fingertips, whether it's YouTube, watching videos and documentaries and going down that rabbit hole, or listening to 40 books or whatever, that you almost get used to that noise, and like the 10 seconds earlier, you almost get terrified of the quiet.
That was just 10 seconds, and this sounded probably like a minute and a half to someone.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to note that there are some people out there who they'll take a day of the week and say, no technology today. We're going to put our phones on a charger. We're going to walk away. If I need somebody, we'll figure it out. We'll show up at their house maybe. We'll
Right.
freak somebody out and show up at their house. And, sometimes...
Unannounced? Just ring the doorbell?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, it's at my door.
Gonna kill people.
Happy door is a closed door. But, maybe it's something like that where, like, you have to take some more drastic measures to really take that moment of peace and quiet and spend time with the Lord, or spend time with your family, or whatever that looks like. But being intentional about the quiet and not just being like, well, I got about 10 minutes between 5:30 and 5:40 before I run off to my job or go do my workout. I can probably sneak in a quiet time there.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
being very intentional about, no, I want to be, this isn't going to just be where I slot this in somewhere.
Right.
I'm going to make the intentional effort to move things around, and I'm going to spend 30 minutes in my word with my kids, singing hymns, whatever that looks like.
Sure. There's some room that is the quietest room on earth.
Oh,
It
yes.
has. You've seen it before?
Mm-hmm.
And they put people in there, and they can't last but like a couple of minutes before they go crazy. I got to stop this.
There's a cap. They won't let you be in there for longer than X amount of time.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
So I didn't know that. The ones I've seen, like, how long did you last? Oh, like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I guess because you can hear your heartbeat.
You start hearing things that, like, your body starts to tune out because it gets, like, hyper-focused, and it
Right.
starts, like, wigging you out, and your brain just starts, like, hallucinating a little bit to try to fill in the noise. So people start hearing things. They're
Really?
like, I know there was one video that I saw, a dude was having a conversation just out loud because he was, like, trying to fill the noise, and his brain was tricking him to think he heard something.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Now, that's probably to an extreme.
Yes, he
But
was
you-
in there for a while.
But you could see that, in prison, solitary confinement is one of the worst things you could do to someone.
Right.
Alone, by yourself, in the dark or whatever,
Mhm.
And so we're never meant to be alone, but we were meant to have some quiet time
Yeah.
and focus on God. And so as you land this plane, would say, what would change in your home if your rest was intentional as your work or as your busyness? Like if you made time to rest physically and spiritually as diligently as my friend goes to Starbucks in the morning and runs.
Mhm.
And he does this every single day.
Yeah.
And he's probably doing Bible studies when he gets there.
Yeah.
But he's just a morning guy. But if you can find a way to make that rest intentional, dads, you can have some well-deserved downtime.
Mm.
And that's what we want. I mean, we don't want you to feel guilty about taking downtime. We want you to take the right kind of downtime
Yes.
to benefit you. Because while an hour nap is great, you might wake up to the same problems you went to sleep with.
Mm-hmm.
So what if on top of that, you made some intentional time for your soul?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we've done enough damage, I guess, to this topic, so we can move on to another one next time. We don't know what's next. Only God knows. We don't rank these until probably the week of, because it's just kind of like what the Spirit lays on our hearts and what some of the feedback we get from guys.
Yeah.
So if you have a topic you'd like us to talk on, make fun of, whatever, let us know in the comments below, and then we'll take into consideration.
Yeah.
So, all right, Joshua, hit him with it.
If you're going to be something, be uncommon.
Amen.